Hey guys, what's up? Now, most of you already know what are the hardest JRPGs that are really popular out there. But what about the ones that are really obscure? You want more challenging RPGs? You've come to the right place because today I'm gonna show you 10 really obscure JRPGs, but they're also great and really hard. So these are 10 JRPGs, obscure of course, for hardcore players like you. Let's begin! Number 10. Paladins Quest. I thought I hated this game, but I realized I never really gave it a proper chance. After streaming it some weeks ago, I noticed it was actually pretty solid. Its only problem, though, remains within its many grinding sessions. It's a hard game, not brutal, but definitely harder than most turn-based RPGs on the Super Nintendo. Perhaps that's why it became so obscure after a while, so people stopped caring about it. It's a science fiction RPG where the main character unintentionally unseals an ancient evil that destroys part of the world, so to restore it, he must travel around it with different allies and stop the menace. So like I said, I found it quite challenging, but it also has something really cool that can help you break the battle system. There is no MP. To use spells, characters must sacrifice HP. But getting hurt isn't that bad considering you can also use healing herbs, which are cheap, or healing spells with another character. So you won't have to worry about running out of MP items. At least not at the beginning of the game, cause later it'll become an issue. And that issue is what makes this RPG a freaking hardcore experience. Number 9. Hero Saga Leviathan Tactics. Here's a weird-ass game with a weird-ass subtitle, but with one very unique battle system. A strategy RPG, also grid-based, very reminiscent of Tactics Ogre and the like. It's hard because of obvious reasons, I mean most games of its kind are naturally hard, but also because of its rather obnoxious battle mechanics. You see, each of your characters is a leader of a small platoon, so when they go into battle with an enemy, you'll be taken to this screen. In here, you'll have to face them for 3 small turns, trying to take out the leader in a few hits or to deplete their group of soldiers. For every turn, there's a different action to choose from: attack, charge, phalanx, and defend. First one and last one are pretty self-explanatory. Charge means trying for the critical, and phalanx is trading strength for accuracy. Thanks to this, battles can go on forever. Not only is it hard to get into, but also quite challenging as the enemy's AI is often smart. There's also a class system involved, talent system, job system, weapon system. You know what, I wouldn't call this game convoluted, but it's just a lot to deal with at first. If you get into it though, you'll probably have a blast and also a nightmare to never forget. Number 8. Demon Gaze. This is one of those dungeon crawlers in first-person view, one very colorful with over-the-top fan service. You create a bunch of characters based on their classes, and there you go into another quest-driven adventure. However, it is also heavily story-based as it has a lot of dialogue and character development, but honestly, it's just a funny comedy. Its turn-based battle mechanics are quite easy to understand. They revolve around you choosing your actions during your turns and executing them. It's the type of dungeons, the type of monsters, and the type of character class that determines everything. Grinding is a big part of it thanks to this, as you won't be able to exploit the system without gaining a few levels first. Exploration can be a labyrinth, but that's usually the case on these types of games. So all in all, Demon Gaze is a fun game, but only if you're really into challenging dungeon crawlers. Number 7. Valhalla Knights 3. Alright, so the first game on the PSP is garbage. I never played the second one, so I was left with the third entry. Exclusive to the PS Vita, by the way. Honestly, I was expecting the worst, but it ended up being quite a solid experience. It's a much better game than the first entry in the series. Valhalla Knights 3 is an action RPG where you customize your character from different classes. You're then thrown into a prison city with a very interesting story, considering your character pretends to be a spy from the Empire. In reality, you're searching for the legendary treasure, but then you're caught up in all sorts of bizarre quests and twisted drama. This game is dark, and also with some heavy fan service involved. Wanna know what else is heavy? It's fucking difficulty! It just isn't your everyday hack and slash, no. It's somewhat technical with strong variations depending on the weapons you use, and also the armor you wear. Some enemies are just so hard to kill without the right equipment. Leveling up is slow, so grinding is a big part of it, especially considering its quest-driven nature. This game is good, but it's far from being a treat for beginners. If you're so damn hardcore, however, and if you have a PS Vita, I suggest you try this obscure gem. Number 6. Gangneer. The Department Heaven series, created by Sting Entertainment, are still very niche nowadays. However, the people who play them know they're all very hard. Yggdrasil Union is the most perfect example as it is totally convoluted and brutally unforgiving. Gangneer may not seem that way at first, but trust me, it gets awfully hard. It's a strategy RPG, grid-based, one where your parties are mixed between story characters and generic customized warriors. Boy, does the game put a lot of emphasis on that, since having the right class in your party can totally make a difference. At first, it's not that hard to understand, but as you go on, you will get into more gameplay mechanics. These can be rather nerve-wracking, like the tactics gauge. The more points in it, the stronger your attacks. These things are hard to explain and hard to get into, but I'll let you experience them for yourself. So if you thought Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre were hard, I can't wait to see you playing Gangneer. It's a fantastic game, hidden gem level, but it can be outrageously tough sometimes. Number 5. Stella Deus. Another hidden gem on the PS2 is Stella Deus, a grid-based strategy RPG with cel-shaded graphics. Like most of its kind, this game is a frigging grindfest, as you'll run into a roadblock every 2 or 3 missions. Then it's on to the special dungeon where you'll be able to exploit the leveling system till your heart's content. However, a big part of its difficulty doesn't really lean on the experience, since it's balanced in that regard. Stella's problem is the horrible voice acting it has, as it can be excruciatingly painful. Nah, I'm just kidding. The acting is bad though, that is true, but the pain will come from the maps and the enemies. Some battles will just go on forever, mainly for their layout and not for their size. Enemies will often have a lot of HP, so fighting them will eventually tire you out. I don't mean this in a bad sense, of course, at least it wasn't that tedious for me. Maybe it's because I really like the characters and their story, or maybe because I'm such a sucker for tactical RPGs. Stella Deus is not a nightmare to play, but without experience in the genre, it will certainly kick your ass so hard, you'll kiss the moon. Number 4. Dragon Marked for Death. This is a highly overlooked action RPG only available on PC and the Switch. It's also an amazing multiplayer game with even a couch co-op mode for up to 4 players. It's a quest-driven adventure played in 2D, developed by company Inti Creates. You can choose between 4 different characters with 2 more available as DLC. Each is cursed with a special power, but they all have a different plot to them. The point is to complete as many quests as possible until you can get access to higher levels of town and eventually complete your main goal. It's very hard and you'll start feeling that almost from the start. Considering each character controls vastly different, it's better to just focus on one. It's also quite grindy, so repeating missions over and over is the best way to gain levels, items and money. Its real difficulty comes from the controls. They're excellent, don't take me wrong to be honest, but some moves and attacks were made clunky on purpose to increase the challenge. The solo campaign can be brutal thanks to this, so I advise playing the game with somebody else if you can. I can't believe this RPG didn't get more attention. It's only a couple of years old and it's already a hidden gem. And number 3, Grand Kingdom. This PS4 and PS Vita RPG is often underestimated by many. Since it's not story-driven but based on quests, building also armies and parties of 4 characters, it's hard to get into. But that's beside the point. Grand Kingdom is an invitation for yet another turn-based battle system, but with a lot of strategy involved. Moving your characters around the layers in order to attack their enemies is a key feature in this game. It also means the same for everybody else, which involves a lot of aspects such as guarding, healing, and the use of traps. That's right, you can set up these to prevent the advance of your enemies or to damage them. In terms of story, it is quite interesting, revolving around an ongoing war, but it's definitely not the focus here. As I said at the beginning, it was underestimated because it feels balanced at first, but as you go on, unlocking more classes, creating more characters and fighting tougher soldiers, yep, it gets pretty brutal. So be careful who you run into these bored-looking maps, because sometimes the key to success is to avoid them. The only way to truly enjoy this hidden gem is to master its battle mechanics, and that is the reason why I think it's perfect for hardcore players like you. Number 2, Front Mission 3. Another strategy RPG is Front Mission 3, one that belongs to a series that's very obscure outside of Japan. We never got the first 2 games until the remake of the first one on the Nintendo DS, so this third entry was the first Front Mission we ever got. The story follows 2 Japanese mech pilots that find something they weren't supposed to, so now the government is after them. However, this game has 2 completely different routes. After the first several hours of it, you'll face a decision that'll let you choose which one you'd like to play first. Everything relies heavily on parts, weapons, and armor. Knowing which enemy part to attack first is crucial as it can increase or decrease the difficulty of each foe in the battlefield. Positions like height or distance can affect the flow of combat as well. Of course, you can customize your mechs, but it does take a while to understand what's good and what's not. Overall, it's quite an original game that used to be slightly known during its early years. Time went on and many other PS1 classics overshadowed it. Hopefully this video serves to make people remember or at least become aware of it. Number 1, Trinity, Souls of Zealot. I've talked about this hack and slash RPG many times before to help it escape from its absolute obscurity. I think it's an excellent game and definitely the best in the list in my opinion. You follow the story of Arius, a half-elf seeking revenge against his grandfather for mercilessly killing Arius' father. So he becomes a gladiator first and then an adventurer to get as powerful as he can for the final confrontation. Of course, several characters will be involved to twist the drama and offer a different perspective. Especially Dagda and Celine, your only 2 party members. You can switch to them at any time and of course they control differently with their own unique skills and elemental attacks. And speaking about elemental attacks, that's what makes this game so hard. It has an easy mode, but I played it on normal just so I could measure its challenge. Anyway, I was saying that it's very challenging because you need to exploit the enemy's weaknesses, but the chance to hit some of the elite monsters or the bosses is very slim, so you need to be fast as you can, especially since some of them can kill you in just a few hits and have tons of HP themselves. Other than that, you'll face some small puzzles and fight a variety of monsters in every area, but it's no big deal. Give this obscure gem a chance, it is strongly recommended for hardcore gamers. If you guys are looking for more hardcore recommendations, more obscure JRPGs, I'm gonna leave 3 videos in the description below. After all, most of the games you saw today were taken from those 3 very same videos. in the description, don't forget, if you're looking for more obscure, hardcore JRPGs. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!